What is going on, everybody? Quancredible here to bring you the review for Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter 14. And this chapter honestly was like a ton of information. Like as soon as we're leaving the like Echo Gorge, we just get like a huge info dump, a huge plot push. Like there's a lot of things going on in this chapter.
We eating good tonight, boy.
So honestly, this like outside of like Percival effectively using his hero type magic, this is probably one of my favorite chapters already. I mean, granted, we don't really have a lot of chapters to go off of, but you get what I'm saying. Anyway, though, the chapter starts in the town of Sistania, the town that everybody's on their way to, with apparently Duke Galdin. I want to say that's how you say his name. And we get Ironside is talking to him and his daughter, and they're looking for a ancient relic. And now the daughter's name is Annie. I'm assuming her name would be Annie Galdin, going off if their names are the same. But essentially, Annie doesn't really like how Ironside is talking. She can sense that he's not really being truthful with his words. And it's very interesting because Ironside is looking for a relic called the Coffin of Eternal Darkness. Now, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but that was the seal that had the Demon Clan sealed away way back in like the first arc of Seven Deadly Sins. It was like a bunch of different pieces, and like Meliodas' dragon sword handle was like the key to it. And like once you assembled all the pieces and the key and had a goddess's blood or the apostle goddess blood, you could open the gate to the demon realm. And that was like the whole thing there. Now I'm just really confused as to why like Ironside and Arthur, or why Camelot would want this, because the only thing that I can think of is maybe since Camelot is accessible but not accessible, they need these pieces to make it to where Camelot can be connected to everywhere else. But it's weird because like I would assume Camelot is somewhat connected, seeing as everybody, like seeing as all of Arthur's knights can seemingly go like to and from without any issue. So I'm just really confused as to what they're trying to do with the coffin, with these pieces of the coffin of Eternal Darkness. And it's also really weird too, because like nothing should be sealed right now. Like the Demon Clan should be fine as of right now, since Meliodas is on the side of Lioness. I can't imagine any demon possibly standing up to him to cause any issues. And for the most part, Britannia seems to be in a state of peace outside of Arthur and them bothering everybody with their chaos stuff. Like I'm just really curious to know like what they want with this. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see on that one. I could speculate that for a while. Let me know if you guys have any things you guys might think it could be. And then one other small crazy thing that Ironside notes is that that he says that Annie could be a perfect match for his son, or saying that he would like Annie to meet his son. Kind of insinuating that he wants to like wed them. And it's crazy because like this means Ironside has a whole nother kid. So it's like this kid is obviously related to Percival. It could be like Percival's older brother or younger brother, something. I'm assuming it'll be an older kid. Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of feels that way to me. I have literally nothing to base that off of except for just how I feel about the scenario. But I feel like it's like an older kid, like an older brother or something. That's like we could speculate about that forever. But for the sake of the chapter review, I'm going to keep going. But we then flash over to Percival's group, and we have Donnie is fishing. He's using his like powers to like lift things up, or like, so he's using his power to like lift the fish out of the water to catch it, really easy fishing. Percival is trying to get a handle on his magic, which is really funny to see because he's trying to get them to line up, but they're not listening at all. It kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball Z when Gotenks was using his super kamikaze ghost and telling them to line up so they can carry out like simple orders. It really reminds me of that. And it's funny because like Percival's like, why aren't they listening to me? And it's like, well, your magic is like a direct representation of your like mental and emotional state. And Percival's like, what does that even mean? And it's really, he's basically saying that like, since you yourself don't listen, or you just do whatever you want, your mini yous are just essentially not going to listen and do whatever they want. That's essentially what I feel like Sin is getting at, which is kind of funny. But after all that, this is when Donnie shows back up with the fish that he caught. And this part was super wild to me because while Donnie and Nansons are arguing about the state of the fish, how it's going to be difficult to prepare, Percival goes into his bag and pulls out the same a smaller version of the knife that he had in the first chapter that his grandpa was using. And like he screams Ouroboros, and it just turns into like a big sword. And it's crazy because Sin is like, Percival, isn't that a magic? He's like, yep, a magic knife. And it's like, no, this is a sword. This is clearly a sword. So it's one of those things where it's like, Percival doesn't know what weapons are. I don't think. It's like I was saying a couple chapters ago when he was fighting against Talisker. He sees it as a tool. He doesn't see it as a weapon. So it's just really funny, like, that his idea of that is it's a magic knife. It just got me. But also it's really interesting that the name of it is Ouroboros, because that is also the name Or that's also the name. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he has that little like button or emblem thing on the cloak of like this like serpent like monster eating his tail. I believe that also is what a Ouroboros is. So there's definitely some huge connection here that's going to be intertwining everything. It's just really confusing. Or not really confusing, but just really interesting to see where that's all going to go. Using the magic sword, he basically whips up a nice dinner for everybody, and it's crazy. Well, I guess it's not too crazy that. And I always thought the extent of Percival's cooking skills was just prep work. I didn't know he could actually cook good food too. And it's even funny because after the meal, Sin's like, it was all right. Well, like Donnie and Nance was like, oh yeah, this was like amazing. And Percival's like washing the dishes, like similar to like his granddad. It's like you can really see like how his time with his granddad really like impacted him. Like he truly like encapsulated everything that his granddad basically raised him to be. And this starts to like beg questions from, Nanson's and Donnie, like, like who exactly was your like granddad? And Percival doesn't even really know, and he kind of has that realization. It's like, well, apparently he was like a holy knight just like my dad, and I want to, and he like reaffirms what he wants to do, which is get to Camelot to, figure out all these answers. And this is when Nansen kind of chimes in of like, I don't know exactly how possible this is going to be, since Camelot is accessible but not accessible at the same time. In this moment, it looks like Sin kind of felt some type of way about it, and like Percival jumping into Sin's defense, it almost kind of feels like in this moment that Sin really appreciated that. But again, I can't really tell since we really don't know a lot about Sin or what he's thinking. So just going to have to unfortunately wait and see on that one too. But after that, we do have Percival and Donnie come into the realization that they could essentially use another one of those beads that Sin used earlier to possibly transport themselves to Leonis instead of having to walk there, which Sin says he only had that one. And this is when we get a nice little small info moment from Nansen's filling in that they're called spell beads, and that it was Merlin that was the one who created them. And it's just like, this is a nice moment for people that may not have read Seven Deadly Sins or got into Seven Deadly Sins late, so didn't really get to see a lot of this stuff in the beginning. Just a quick like refresher or just a new info dump for people who do not know, which is always good to see. But yes, I mean, obviously to no surprise, that was the only one he had. I mean, that would be kind of weird, or like kind of story breaking if he just had one already to just poop, we're in Leonis. Like that would be like really, really fast. So I kind of get that this Four Knights Sparkle story is going to be a lot of journey instead of really going from place to place like really quickly, which I feel like sequels will do sometimes. Since the world is already established, they'll just shoot straight from place to place and not really explore. So I kind of do appreciate this somewhat slower take on the Seven Deadly Sins world, or I guess I should call it Britannia. But I'm assuming after a couple days, they finally do reach Sistania, and like Percival is remarking that they're here, and then this is when Percival's little magic, his little mini hymns or his chibi Percivals like jump off of him and saying here, 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 and they go out in search of something. And Sin notes that he even has like tracker magic too, which just adds to the list of broken things about hero type magic. Like it adds to the list. I had a video about that I was going to do about hero type magic, but I'm going to change it now already just off of this one small thing, because it just adds even more to it. So I'm sorry about that one. You guys are gonna have to wait a little bit for that video. But the little mini Percivals do run into the town, and they ended up finding a piece of the coffin of eternal darkness. It seems like Sin seems to know what it is, which really, it just keeps making me wonder who exactly Sin is. Like who is this person, be it a male or female, human, animal, who is Sin? Because like, why do they know what this is? But after they find it, and they're talking about it, we do have the girl from earlier, Annie, show up. She's like, I don't know if you're working for that man or not, but if you plan on giving that to him, I'm gonna have to kill all of you. Which is really like a dark turn for her. I didn't really expect her to be kind of this like and that's the chapter. Now obviously for me, I'm one of those people where as soon as I see a new character, I'm immediately going to assume that she's going to join the group. So I'm just going to say I think she's going to join the group. Like I've been saying forever, we need a female lead, of like a lead female character, and I so far she seems cool. If she actually has the capability of killing them, then props for her. That means she can also fight. So I would love to see it. Part of me kind of thinks this is Cap just because like she doesn't look like she can fight, so I'm going to just assume that she can't. But on the other hand, why would she make this kind of claim if she couldn't? Because those are bold words to say to three dudes. Now obviously like Donnie looks pretty menacing, Nansen's is kind of scariest. I mean, Percival doesn't really look like a threat, but to at least 2.5 people, you think that you can kill all of them? That's pretty brazen of her. So she must know a little something. But yeah, I'm not for sure exactly what's going to go down. The main thing I guess the main like two big things for this chapter for me, outside of like Percival's backstory and more hero type stuff, is the fact that Ironside is in this immediate area along with Percival. So there's a high possibility that they could have a confrontation in this mini arc or full arc, or just in the next few chapters they could potentially meet each other again, which would be very interesting with Percival potentially getting into another fight with him. And then there's also the stuff with Annie and the Coffin of Eternal Darkness. Like, what relevance does this have to Arthur and the Knights of Camelot? It's all very curious. I would love to know you guys' opinions on all this down below. As for me, it's as I speculated earlier, I have no idea what they could be wanting to do with it, so I guess we're just going to have to wait. As far as anything else I have to say, hopefully Annie does join the group. I'm excited. I kind of want to see a fight. Maybe if next chapter starts out with her fighting them, that would be kind of hype. But yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to wait. But yeah, overall, I give this chapter like a 9. This is a really good chapter in terms of lots of information and things along those lines. So aside from that, make sure you guys like the video as well as subscribe to the channel for more Knights of Apocalypse videos coming up. Like I said, I got that hero type video coming out pretty soon here, just talking about Percival's hero type magic and things along those lines. So be on the lookout for that. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all in my next video.